Welcome back to the Denny Doucette channel. Thanks for being here. Today we're going to do a quick review and kind of some feedback and experience that I've had in using the Primos Bleat, or some pronounce it Bleat Can, the original. That's what they refer to this one as, the original, because there is a bigger version. This is my old one here. As you can see, it's leaking some of the contents that make up the baffle system, the weight. And this is my newer one, because this one broke in the field just a couple days ago. And before it broke, it did its job very well. Real quick, some of the things I learned over the years in using it is how to use it appropriately. When I first started doing bleats in calling whitetails and trying to, I was doing it a little bit wrong as far as the duration of the bleat sound, the bleat sound, because they didn't originally include the actual language instructions on how to use the bleat. Maybe they did and I didn't see it. I know there's a lot of feedback from other customers and people who bought the can. I went ahead and bought one after a friend of mine swore by it, and I watched him use it in the field, and it worked well. However, I forgot, I didn't pay attention to how he was using it. And the two different sounds that the original can would make is the short bleat, which is 1 to 2 seconds in duration, which is what you want to do. That's the estrus bleat. But if you were to tilt the can slowly and leave it in the position to make the sound for a long period of time, you would make a 5-second or more bleat sound, which, according to the whitetail experts, not myself, you know, I'm learning as I go. I'm not an expert at this by any means, and I don't know that much about the language of whitetail. But a lot of people term that as an alarm bleat. So you want to avoid, all capitals, all bold here, you want to avoid doing an alarm bleat. You'll see a lot of feedback and reviews online of guys that didn't know that and were using the can and doing alarm bleats and wondering, you know, why am I not seeing any deer? Why are they not coming in? And it's because they were doing the alarm, which is the real long sound. You want to just do a quick one, like a this is the new one. I'll just demonstrate real quick. There's the hole you cover with your thumb. This one, the new one, it seems like Primos went ahead and kind of reconfigured it inside a little bit, because it seems much harder to make a long alarm bleat with it. It's like they tuned it or timed it to where it just does the estrus bleat. So I'm going to get to this one in a moment. My original can, you know, when I started doing it, I was doing too many bleats, too frequently probably, and then originally when I first started doing them, I was doing them too long. But when I started doing more, I guess, reading on it and watching other how-to videos on how to use the Bleat Can, I learned, you know, to do 1 to 2 second bleats and do maybe 3 of them, and then wait 10 minutes and do 3 more. That is what some would say is the appropriate application of the Bleat Can. When I started doing it appropriately, I immediately started getting more activity in reaction to it. First time I did it, I got a little 3x3 whitetail in. He came in, started scratching on a large tree, took off. Later that same season, I called in a real nice buck for a friend, and it did its job well. It really got the attention of bucks, and they came in. Just the other day, this can here, I was using it, and hiking down a logging road, big clear cut off to the right with a draw in between me and it. It was in the evening. It was probably the last half hour of light. It was getting dark, and I was on my way back to the truck. I figured, hey, I'm going to just give a couple bleats, see what happens. This is a nice little area. So I let out 3 bleats, waited, listened, and immediately I heard brush and sticks cracking loud enough to where I thought it was another hunter, perhaps. And it was above me to the right. And it was real thick between me and the clear cut. I was kind of at the edge. And I saw a doe moving to the side, but behind her, charging at me, was a buck, a nice buck. I let another bleed out, and his angle changed, and he started just beelining it right at the can, right at me. He was about 150, 200 yards out, real thick timber between me and him again. I could not get a good shot window. As I was moving, I heard a rifle crack, real loud, real close, but down below me where it came from. The buck darted, started walking, looked back, looked down the draw, and started walking up. Again, I couldn't get a shot, and then he bolted. Turns out there was a hunter about 300 yards downhill who took a shot at the buck. He saw him crossing the clear cut, and I had seen this gentleman earlier in the day, and we, greeted each other on a trail, exchanged, hellos, and seen anything? Yeah, and couple does, and we parted ways. So he was actually down there. He took a shot, missed the deer, the buck, and the buck took off. But it did its job, and it brought a buck in. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me. I didn't get a shot. The next day, it was about 0 degrees when I was hunting. My hydro pack leaked. It froze solid, but before that it leaked, and some water got down in here and froze, and the bleat was rendered useless, and I really needed it that morning. I got frustrated and tried shaking the ice out of it, tried to get it to work. It broke. Probably my fault. So I'm not going to go ahead and try to get a return out of it or anything. The bleat just broke. So I went and bought a new one, went to look at them, and the new ones are out. And here it is. So this one's going to be retired. You can see all the contents leaking out of it. Hopefully it's not toxic, but that's the stuff that fills them up. The new one, I do like the improvements they made. As I said, it sounds like they got it tuned a little bit better. It comes with this true grip, they call it. This older one doesn't have that, and I can kind of see where they came up with that. If you're wearing gloves, your hands would kind of slip on these or slip off when you're trying to do a bleat. Also, if you set this one down on steep terrain, logs, a hillside, it would just roll, and there has been times where it would roll away from you if you weren't paying attention. This one doesn't roll as well with these nice rugged grips. I don't know if they did anything to change the interior a whole lot, but it does seem like it's tuned better. You can see that the bleat duration on these is really short. That was not the case with the old one. So I'm convinced that Primos addressed the concerns of the consumer, which was, hey, this is producing an alarm bleat for guys that don't know how to use it that well. This one kind of takes the thinking out of it, and you don't have, this one you used to have to stop halfway. Once you realized how to make the right sounds, you had to kind of use it, I guess conservatively and know when to time it. This one, it seems like you can just tilt it and go. Tilt it, cover the hole. So this one, again, seems like it's tuned really well. It's got the new grip. The can looks a little bit more rugged. However, this one never really had a problem. And so real quick, we'll go through a good bleat sequence or blat sequence, however you want to pronounce it. Some people do say blat. You get out there, you get your nice little spot. You might know there's a buck somewhere, and within 100 yards he'll hear this sound. You're going to want to do 1 to 2 second bleat. You can do anywhere from 2 to 3 bleats. And then you're going to want to wait. Set it down, get your optics ready, start looking around, be quiet, and listen. Wait 10-15 minutes, and if nothing happens, go ahead and throw out another bleat or two. So there you go. That's the new Primos original can. Again, they do make a bigger one. Supposedly it makes a deeper, a little bit longer bleat. However, the original works for me. That's why I just stuck with it. They're about $10, $9. I got this one on sale, so it was like $9.60. But I don't know how it is out east, but out west here, it seems very rare that people attempt to call in whitetails, which is a good thing for guys that do. It seems like the deer are not very call shy. They're not used to hearing artificial calls. And hopefully we can keep it that way. So if you're out west and you hunt, don't call whitetails. It's highly ineffective. It doesn't work. Don't use them. I'm being sarcastic here. We want to keep the calls to a minimum. I don't want to get all the deer around where I hunt call shy. Because again, these do seem to work very well from my personal experience. Some guys are skeptical. You know, they don't think that calling deer is effective. I don't see why not. They're in the same species as elk. Elk react, you know, to cow talks and bugles. So I don't know why deer wouldn't react to calls as well. And from my experience, they've worked very well. You know, I've already talked about the grunt. Where I used to hunt, where my parents lived, the first time I ever broke out one of these HS buck runner calls, the first grunt I ever did on one of those brought a muley buck in, a little fork mule deer, but it worked. He charged in and was running on a scree field of rocks up above me. But I've had a little bit of luck grunting, not as much as with the can. I called in a little whitetail, the grunt one time, and I did use a combination of the grunt and a bleat to call in a larger buck once that I did not end up getting. But there you are, the Primos hunting can. I think it's definitely a tool that every whitetail hunter or mule deer hunter should give a shot and try. I mean, for $9, you really can't beat the that minimal investment to you know, try to get a deer that you might not see to come out of the brush or come to your position. Especially if you're, you know, if you're an archery hunter or black powder hunter, you need that closer distance to close them up. You know, you might as well try to use it. So I've been very satisfied with it. So go ahead and give it a shot. Let me know what you think. If you do use one, go ahead and leave a comment below on what your experiences have been, and you know, share your personal stories with it. Again, thanks for being here for the Denny Doucette channel. Appreciate all the views and the positive feedback. It's always good. So get out there and let me know how you do. Have a good hunting season and take care. Happy Thanksgiving.